Toujours Dead. A Claire Baskerville Mystery, Book 8. Copyright 2022 by Susan Kiernan-Lewis and narrated by Madison. Audio copyright 2024 by Susan Kiernan-Lewis. All rights reserved. Stay with her, I said. Lock the door behind me. I didn't wait for her to answer. My adrenaline was shooting through me as I ran out the door toward the sounds of the front door being destroyed. Surely to God the neighbors would call the police. It sounded as if the whole building was being demolished. Seconds before the final kick that knocked the door in, I flung myself behind the couch and crawled to the end of it. After that, everything happened so fast, I don't have a complete memory of any of it. A puff of fluff and stuffing exploded by my face as a throw pillow shot in the air. Fighting the inclination to crawl under the couch, I popped my head up to see where they were and then jerked it back down. The image of two large men with handguns standing shoulder to shoulder as they entered the living room was imprinted on my brain in a flash. I crawled to the other end of the couch and raised my gun hand and squeezed off 2 shots at the general spot where I had last seen them. The gunshots were so loud that dishes rattled in the kitchen, accompanied by a scream from one of the men. Everything was happening faster than I could think. I couldn't reason, I couldn't plot beyond the chilling thought, they know where I am. My heartbeat thundered in my ears, but the rest of my world had gone radio dark. Chapter 1. The sound of the rapid-fire clicking of the camera shutters seeped into the background noise of his brain, as Jean-Marc Leroux, inspector principal of the French National Police, stepped around the perimeter of the carefully marked-off crime scene. It was a yoga studio in the 3rd arrondissement, located not far from the Musée Carnavalet. The victim lay face down on the carpeted floor, one arm flung out as if to catch herself as she fell, the other by her side. Like so many murder scenes he'd processed before, it was the silence that got to Jean-Marc. He could hear his subordinates, Camille Genet and Robert Grulix, moving about the studio space, conferring, but all Jean-Marc really heard distinctly was the sound of his own heart beating. Death does that to you. Especially sudden, senseless death. He looked at the body on the floor. The victim was athletically built, in her early 30s, wearing a high-neck crop top and lime green yoga pants. Her feet were bare and a puddle of viscous pink pooled by her face next to a gaily colored and mostly empty paper cup. There was a thickness in the air that Jean-Marc could nearly taste. It felt like responsibility. Heavy and judging. Responsibility to this woman to find out who had done this to her. And to himself. His last chance. His eyes flitted around the room, looking for clues that everyone else had missed, taking in the marking cones on the floor showing where the victim had begun her fall and the bagged items of evidence, her telephone, her sneakers. The spilled pink concoction of bananas and yogurt that had congealed on the floor where she dropped the cup was being carefully preserved, bagged, tagged, and identified. Jean-Marc turned to the gardien de la paix standing at the entrance to the studio. Jean-Marc gestured to him and the man walked over.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?